Creatives, influencers, artists, dancers, they all have a story, but who's going to tell it?
That's where I come in. This is the remix with me, Kierra Cotton.
I be with the snacks like a Scooby-Doo, ayy. Only fall in love in a blue moon. The two animated like cartoon. This little mic, no auto-tune. Hop in the whip, that's broom.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of The Remix. As always, I'm your host, Kierra Cotton, here today with Brad Puette. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. So Brad has over 10 years of experience in the industry. Tell me a little bit about how you got started.
I came up as a guitar player. So I was in a lot of local bands, just playing with my friends and that kind of thing. And every time we'd get into the studio, it was like, that was like my home. It was like, I didn't no longer want to do the shows or do the touring or anything. I just wanted to sit in the studio. So yeah, so I got involved with like another producer in the area. I kind of shadowed him for a little bit and just went to school and then got internships and just worked my way up through it.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. So you said you went to school. So you're a Kent State graduate
Yes.
and a graduate of the recording.
Yeah, Recording Connection.
Recording
Workshop, I'm sorry.
And Chillicothe, correct?
Yes,
So that's
Chillicothe.
near my old stomping grounds. Tell me a little bit about that experience.
Okay, that's an interesting area, isn't it?
Yeah, Athens, I went to OU.
Okay, so you had
so
a
good
much more
time.
interesting area.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where it's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's like recording camp is kind of how I describe it to people.
Okay.
It's like you stay in cabins and there's studios you have to like kind of like hike to through the woods, which is a
That's
really
cool.
really interesting thing. But it's cool. It was like 10 weeks. It's like all you do for 12 hours a day is just boom 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 do this.
Wow.
And like I love this stuff. Like this is
Yeah.
my home. So like those days just like flew by.
Yeah. What's your favorite part about the whole recording studio process?
I like the getting things finalized and getting things
Okay.
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect is a tough word because at the end of the day you kind of have to just step away at some point
Yeah.
before like it's never really finished. It just is there.
Yeah.
But I like that you can take your time and find imperfections and things that can improve songs and really like marinate on things and sit with them for a while. Whereas live, it's just everything kind of comes to you so quick. You just got to kind of do the best you can. And I like the control of getting it where I think it needs to be.
Was there ever a time in your life where you felt like you didn't want to do music?
I think in any passion job, something where like, it's not show up a 9 to 5. I think you're always going to have a moment where you're just like, I don't know if I can keep doing this because it's so much emotional, work.
Yeah.
But I think those periods lasted days, a week at most, and then it was like, no, like this is what I need to be doing.
Awesome.
It. Yeah.
Awesome. And then at what age did you start with music?
I started playing guitar at 12.
Okay.
And I got into my first studio, I think, at 14. And that was really the start of everything for me.
Awesome. And tell me a little bit about that process. I think that's something as artists, like there's no straight and narrow path for anyone or like there's
True.
no strict path to success. But like for you, what do you think was most critical in your development as a musician and artist?
I think as a musician, it was playing with other people.
Okay.
And like, to do what I do now as a producer and as an engineer, you can't do that without having musicianship skills first to understand and speak the same language that they're in. So I think just playing with a wide variety of people and in different genres was the best thing I did because it just made me more well-rounded and like made me open up to like, what music really was as a whole and how to work with other genres and other sounds and incorporate into different things. I think that's where I found a lot of my success is like, melding those different areas together. Okay.
And you talked about that versatility and dealing with different genres. You've worked with some huge names, from Tiana Taylor to Justin Bieber. What were those experiences like for you?
Different, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's true even with local artists. Like every artist is going to have a different way they work and a different way they like to work in sessions. And some, it's very mechanical and I am here to just boom, 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 let's get this together. And others, it's very much a conversation. So, and some of them are short-lived. Like I work with Tiana on more of a permanent basis than I worked with like Justin Bieber. I did that like as a one-off thing.
Gotcha.
So my relationship with him was very much like, I don't even think he'd know who I was.
Yeah.
It was just very much like, let's get this recorded. Okay, this sounds good, great. Whereas like Tiana, we were like actually working on stuff together.
Yeah, for sure.
So they're all different.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me, for the people that don't know at home or just people listening trying to become more educated about the music industry, what exactly do you do?
Tough question.
Yeah.
So I wear a variety of hats, I like to tell people. I'm an engineer and a producer. So a lot of my work these days is really mixing. That's really what I love to do.
Yeah.
Where someone's coming with a song they've already produced, they've already recorded it, it's there. It just needs that extra push, that extra polish. That's what I do most of the time.
You're like the magic man, the little extra
Sure.
sprinkle.
Yeah, yeah. I've had a lot of people describe it like Photoshop for music.
Nice.
Where it's like, you know, the picture's been taken and like the picture is what the picture is. But now what can we do so that the picture is like living in the right space is like kind of how I like to think about it. So so I do that, and then like, you know, there's other times I'm a guitar player where people come in and I need to play stuff on tracks. Other times I'm helping them rearrange drums, rearrange vocals, helping them come up with vocal ideas. So versatility is like the name of the game. Like the more things I can do in a studio, the more work I'm going to get, and the more people are going to want to come see me.
That's awesome. And speaking of studio, you plan to open your own studio.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So it's been a long time coming, so I'm actually, I guess, kind of reopening my own studio. Okay. So it's going to be called Field Day Recordings, which is actually the studio I started in college in my apartment with local artist Marcus Allen Ward.
Nice. I am hip to Marcus.
Yeah, Marcus is great. Cool. So that's my best friend.
Awesome.
And we've been, in college, we lived together. We had our own studio in that house. It was called Field Day. His idea, I can't take credit for it, but I am going to take it now.
Right.
Yeah, and so, you know, I worked for different companies throughout the years and always kind of gotten the short end of the stick, where it was like, I'm doing all this work, I'm bringing all this stuff, people are coming here to see me, and now it's like, you know, I really didn't have anything to show for it. I couldn't really control the music I was working on, the times I was working, and, you know, it gets to a point where I think you just want a little more of that so that you can really pick the stuff you're putting out.
The control aspect.
Yeah, I like, you know, I think it's really cool to be at a point now where I can be a little more selective about who I want to work with, so I can like really help artists like develop sound. That's what I really am into. So the new space is really going to be a home for that.
Awesome. How would you describe the atmosphere that you want to embody that space?
I think it's just going to be me. So I think if like people have worked with me through the years, I want this space to just feel like home for them. Like it's like an environment that like you feel free in. Because a lot of studios can feel very stifled. They can either feel, you know, too dark where you have this really deep mood, or they can be, you know, too polished where you don't feel like you can get in there and be raw and create. And I want something that's kind of that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. So speaking of raw and authenticity, tell me a little bit about your upbringing.
So I was in a musical family. I still am. My brother is a musical theater performer. My dad is a guitar player. My mom is a piano player. My sister is a piano player. And everyone did musical theater. So I did a lot coming up playing in like orchestra pits and stuff. And I think I got into guitar first, and that was my big thing. I think when I was like 6th or 7th grade, when that happened, my dad showed me some chords. That's when everything changed for me. It was like, you know, I was kind of growing up more as like an athlete, like really into sports, and then I started playing guitar, and I was like, well, that's done.
So long for that.
Yeah, and that was my life. I mean, seriously, it was like
awesome.
from the first time I played, I was like, this is all I want to do.
That's awesome that you had that support and that stability from your family.
So lucky. I think a lot of people don't have that and are coming up, and that was like, without that, I never would have gotten anywhere.
Yeah. So you're also recently engaged on your personal side of things.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about your fiance.
She's amazing. She's a high school teacher. And actually my Photoshop analogy is from her, so I can say that.
Shout out to the fiance.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, no, we've been together for about 3 years.
Awesome. Congratulations.
So, thank you. Yeah, we just had a great trip in Mexico and got engaged.
I saw all the photos on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it. So it's something that you have been planning for a while?
Yeah, super a while. I think I started doing this about 8 months ago. I kind of got everything in order, and then we were supposed to go to Portland, and that's where I was going to do it. So I had a whole day planned out there, and we had some last-minute travel plans that had to get switched around. And we could no longer go to Portland, so last minute, like seriously 3 days before we left, we booked a flight to Tulum, Mexico, and I was like, well, there goes that plan. And so I literally just had the ring on me from the time I got out there.
How nervous were you?
So nervous. Like, I was freaking out that like TSA was gonna like go through my bag.
Oh my god! I guess I didn't even think about that. You know,
yeah, you have to get it on the plane somehow.
The variables.
Yeah, and like everything I was reading and people who had like done it were like, don't put it in your check bag. Like if that gets lost, what happens?
I love that you were researching though. The effort that you put into that's heartwarming.
I had to. I was freaking out about it. I was like, because I wanted it to be right, and I was like, the last thing I wanted to happen was like, you know, the ring either A gets lost or like TSA pulls it out in the airport and there goes my big moment or whatever.
Was it everything that you were hoping for?
No, it was way more. I seriously, like, anything I had plans, I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky. Anything I would have had at Flight in Portland was nothing compared to, like, what actually happened. And it was just one of those things that was, like, so meant to be. Just everything fell into place. Like, it it worked out better than like anything I had planned didn't live up to
completely surpassed your expectations.
Yeah, to what just happened randomly, like the things that just naturally occurred, and I think that's really cool.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. So outside of wedding planning with your fiance, what's next?
And building a studio.
And building a studio.
Let me just pile on all this stressful stuff at one time. No, I feel like this is my year.
Yeah.
As weird as that sounds. So, you know, I think it's really exciting. Like, it's a lot. Like, yeah, like, you know, I'm probably planning a wedding, and, like, I'm definitely building this studio in this next year, you know. So it's going to be crazy to see how that all plays out. Fortunately, my fiance is a very understanding, awesome woman, and gets that, like, the studio's coming up first so that we can set ourselves up the right way.
For sure. So for people watching this for the first time, how can they get in contact with you?
So you can go to my website, Brad Puette, BradPuette.com. Instagram is the same thing, at Brad Puette. Try to keep it as simple as possible.
Awesome.
Or you can email me, bpuette@gmail.com. Always interested in reaching out to local people or national people or whoever. I just love to work on great music.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. This has been fun.
Awesome. All right, guys, that's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning into The Remix. He's Brad Puette. I'm Kierra Cotton. Thanks for watching.
You could do better, Marvin's broom. Knew I was the one since I was in the womb. I ain't never grow up with a silver spoon. Being myself is all I ever knew.